Hello, Cal State East Bay community. My name is Kathryn Kirkpatrick, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker from the Student Health and Counseling Department. With all of the recent injustices that have overwhelmed our country and our communities, we wanted to create a video for members of the East Bay campus who are seeking ways to become better allies and accomplices in the fight against oppression. The last few months have been filled with absolutely devastating news. There have been countless unjustified police killings of both trans and cis Black men and women, ongoing transphobia illustrated by the White House, a rise in crimes targeting Asian Americans due to misinformation about COVID, increased rates of domestic violence due to shelter in place. The relentless oppression is sickening. And the reality is, none of this is new. Violence, racism, and discrimination are deeply rooted in our country's history, our systems, and our institutions. As a counseling center, we are always evaluating what actions we can take to better support our students and our community here at East Bay. We realize more than ever we need to take a more active role in fighting racism and injustice. The mental health of our students and our community is a collective problem. Systemic issues such as racism need to be addressed structurally and communally. We want to assure students impacted by racism and discrimination that our counseling center is a safe place to process these experiences. We are here to support you. As a white cisgender woman, I entered this world with an array of unearned benefits and advantages to which I was blind for many years. It really wasn't until college, through my sociology and cultural studies courses, that I began seeing things that I had missed about the institutional maintenance of oppression and social injustice. For the first time in my life, I was critically thinking about my whiteness and unpacking all of the privileges that come with this identity. Many of us benefit from some level of privilege. If we are able-bodied or have access to education, if we're Christian or heterosexual, male, white, we've been in some ways advantaged undeservedly over others. Having privilege does not make us immune to life's hardships, but it does give us unearned advantage in society. Becoming aware of our privilege should not be viewed as a burden or a source of guilt, but rather an opportunity to learn and use this benefit for social change. So how can we stand with marginalized communities when we don't share those identities? What is the best way to support a social movement? Some people may identify themselves as allies, standing in solidarity and partnership with marginalized communities. Others use the term accomplice, making a commitment to dismantle unjust systems and create something new. There are unlimited ways to show up and fight injustice. I am no expert on this subject, but fortunately, there are many brilliant activists who have dedicated their life's work to this sort of education. So I have pulled together 4 guiding principles as an introduction for those who seek effective solidarity. 1. Activism isn't supposed to be comfortable. Discomfort is an important part of the work. Examining your own privilege is uncomfortable. Realizing that you've made mistakes in the past is uncomfortable. Evaluating your own biases is uncomfortable. All of this discomfort is needed in order to learn, reflect, grow, and change. Please keep in mind that doing this work means that you will make mistakes, and that's to be expected. It's part of the learning process. So when you get called out, listen, apologize earnestly, and be ready to learn from this experience and do better. This is much more productive than getting defensive or angry. Becoming an activist requires endless learning. First, learning about your own identities and understanding your own privileges. Second is learning about the marginalized community with whom you want to stand. Learning about the histories, systems, and practices of oppression. It's important that we not burden members of marginalized groups to educate us about their experiences, their oppression, or their injustice. This is not their job. We are fortunate to have access to an abundance of resources, websites, books, podcasts, blogs, just to name a few. Additionally, we've included several links below this video for further learning resources. 3, speak up without speaking over. It's important that we use our voice to help educate people within our own communities and directly address racism, microaggressions, and bigotry when we see it. But we need to be cautious that we are not speaking over the community members that we are trying to support. Joining the fight for justice does not mean that we are leading the movement. It's our job to listen and amplify the voices of activists and leaders from these communities. 4, being an activist and fighting injustice is a lifelong commitment, not a popular movement of the moment. It requires much more than simply attending one protest or showing your support through hashtags and social media posts. Marginalized communities have been in this struggle their entire lives, and what they need are allies who will keep showing up, keep learning, and keep elevating their voices. We thank you for taking the time to watch this video. For all of our Cal State East Bay students, we are thinking of you and sending well wishes. And we invite you to reach out to our counseling staff and the Office of Diversity for further discussion.